Alright, so it's time to try to modify this driveline to work with this Jeep. Here's the problem that I'm having when I bought this thing is this driveline. It's got quite a bit of slop and it runs with the spline showing all the time. So my plan is to take the spline part off this one and take it off the other one and put the other one on here, because I believe this is longer on that other driveline, which will give me more driveline to play with. So I was going to check the run out with the dial indicator, but with all of this happening, it showed me all kinds of crazy stuff. So we'll pull it back out and start cutting them up. Okay, so here's the drivelines that I'm going to be modifying. This is the one out of the Jeep that's a little loose. And this is the one that's out of my old Chevy pickup. I measured these out from the weld, center of the weld out to here, and I'll have about 2 inches, it'll be about 2 inches longer with this slip yoke on this tube. So my plan is just to cut the center of these welds with a die grinder or a cutoff wheel in the grinder. Hopefully knock these out fairly easy and then weld this into this. And then I'll have to put it back under the Jeep with the dial indicator and try to get it fairly straight. So hopefully it works out all right. That dial indicator is kind of a pain in the butt to run. I don't know if there's better ones out there, but the flex piece on the indicator sometimes don't sit very well, but hopefully I get it set underneath there and get it to where I could get it straight and weld her back together. So okay, I took and ground this down a ways, and then I'm going to take and grind this flat until it's flat with the tube, and then see how much further I have to go so I don't cut too far. I might have to come this way ways too, but so I don't have to cut too far into this piece and damage it at all. So okay, so I ground it down and my line is still there, but I don't think I'm quite deep enough to get to where that tube is. So I'll go ahead and take the die grinder back to it again and go a little bit deeper. Like here, I'm barely even under the surface, so movement. Okay, I want to take and make a line roughly in the center. Okay, this thing's finally moving. This is a little bit wider than what I planned on making this, but I've never done this before, so I didn't know where to start grinding and whatnot. And I went ahead and set a straight edge down here and made a line, and then I made a line here about where center is, so I could try to get these caps. When I set it back to the new, or the other drive line, I could try to keep these caps flat. I might have to set it on the table and make a tack before I put it back in the Jeep, so I can get these lined back up again, because I know you want these lined up and flat back in the same spot. So I'm going to knock this off the rest of the way and get the other one up here and see how that one goes. Oh, I had lots of room to play with. I got her pretty close, but I have to clean that up and get it ready for the other one. Okay, so this is where I'm at. I cut the slip yoke out of this one, and I cleaned it up. So this is a slip yoke that I'm going to use. I think I got pretty close to where it was at. I just I cut the center of the weld with a cutoff wheel down a ways. Then I ground the weld down flat, and then I went ahead and took a little bit more, and I started using a chisel and a hammer and starting to tap against this. And then I had to do it again because I didn't want to mess this part up, because this is the one that I'm going to use. So I did it again and then tapped on it again. It finally came out of there, and then I went ahead and cleaned that all up with the grinder. This one was a little bit easier, being I'd already done one. I kind of knew. I took some calipers and measured this, so I knew about where that edge was, and I marked it with a pin. Then I took a die grinder and went around it with, or not a die grinder, but a cutoff wheel. Went around it with a cutoff wheel, and then I ground it down flat, and then I went around it again. I wasn't too worried about grinding this down too far, because this slip yoke is bad, but looking at this, I didn't go any further than what I needed to, so I might have dug into it a little bit, but not enough to, yeah, there's not too much of a lip even there. Not enough, I don't think, to hurt it if I was putting it back on. So I think probably where I'm going to go next is I'm probably going to take this and tap it into here, line my lines up. I don't know if it really mattered where that line was or not. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to tap this in here and then set it on the table so these are flat on the table, so I know they're lined up the way they're supposed to be. And I might tack it at least in one spot, and then I'm going to go underneath the Jeep. I'm going to bolt it back into the Jeep, and then I'm going to put the dial indicator on it. Unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention and I ground this more than what I wanted to, so I'll probably have to clean this up down a little bit further where it's smooth, and then I'll put my dial indicator on here, and hopefully I could get this. I'm going to tap on it back and forth until hopefully, I don't know, I've seen on other videos where people are saying 11 thousandths is maximum, but hopefully I get it as close as I can, and then weld it up. And then I won't be able to drive it on the street to see if it'll vibrate. I don't know if anybody else knows this, but I don't know if this front drive line, how much it will spin driving down the road, or if it's going to vibrate at all driving down the road. But I might take it out back and see if I can run it up on the hill that I haven't been able to really drive up, because even though it has a locker in the back, it's pretty soft dirt and it hasn't want to go up. It doesn't want to go up it, so maybe I'll see if it'll go up in four-wheel drive, see if everything works. I haven't put this in four-wheel drive since I bought it because of the driveline issues. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it with this. I ended up losing some of my footage, so I finished this off last weekend, and what I ended up doing once I got these tacked together, I come down, when I bolted it all in, this U-joint was bad, so I had to go buy a new U-joint and put a new U-joint in there. But I tacked it here, and the best I could get was way off the scale. So I ended up taking and putting another tack above it, and from there it was 15, probably 30 to 60 thousandths, and then I put another tack above it, and then it got to about 15 to 30 thousandths, and I was laying underneath here for, I'm sure it had to have been 45 minutes trying to get this thing to straighten up, and I couldn't get it past that 15 thousandths mark. So I ended up taking a cutoff wheel and cutting right through the center of those tacks, and it only took a few taps, and I ended up getting it to pretty much zero. The only thing it did do is I could go, it seemed like 3/4 of the way around it'd be zero, and then there was like a 3 thousandths, 5 thousandths, and then it'd go back to zero. So I don't know if there was like a flat spot or a dent or something that it was hitting, but it was pretty much dialed in. And unfortunately I tacked it in several spots, and I apparently didn't put enough tacks, because I put the tacks on there, I redid it, and it was still dialed in. Then I ended up taking and putting my arm on that long arm, and I had the front end off the ground, so I rotated that tire, rolled it around, put a bead on it, and I rechecked it, and it went back out to 12 or 15 thousandths. So I'm not sure if that's going to give me a vibration or not. I have the exhaust up here that I need to finish, and my long arms I need to, or the rock sliders I need to put on so I could finish the A-pillars before I could drive it. But you can see here, I think I have about 2 more inches of slip here. I don't have any spline showing like I did on the other one, and it's now tight, so should be a lot better than what it was. No vibrate. Well, just driving it around the yard, I know there's not much of there are no vibrations at all, and I finally, it wasn't a lot, but I finally got to test the 4-wheel drive out a little bit to make sure it worked, because I never have tested the 4-wheel drive, because that Driveline's always been sloppy, and I didn't want to end up breaking it or having it come flying out of there for some reason. But it all seems to be coming together. I did do the Herculiner on the floorboards. I started putting the interior back in, kind of cleaned some of it up, threw it back in. I need to do something to the seat, because the seat's, it leans to one side, and I thought it was a cushion, but I don't think it is. I think there's something broken in there. I thought about welding something on the side of the seat to hold it up some. The back seat's in. I was thinking that this was going to be a problem, because there's not much room in these XJs to get in anyways, and then I put this bar in the way. But I think with the bar here being able to grab it, and then the tire down here being able to get in, I think it's fairly easy to go ahead and get in here. And then there is plenty of room. I'm 5'9", so I'm not super tall, but I think there's room in here. And the seats are back as far as they'll go, so if there was a taller person they could sit up front and probably a smaller person back here. But even for me, I thought this was going to be really uncomfortable, and I don't think it is going to be. You got somewhere to hold on to now, and there's still some room here. So, and then getting back out because of that small hole, just kind of slide out, and it's not too bad. Got the fender flares back on and started putting all the interior back in back here. I was deciding on whether I wanted to put some of it back in or not, but I think it looks a little bit better with it in there. So it's getting there. I was hoping by this next month, I think October 18th, there's a race at our local speedway I was hoping to go to with it, but I don't think I'm gonna have the sliders and the exhaust done in time. So maybe next year we'll see what happens. Alrighty, well, thanks for watching, and see you next time.